the Danube, winding its way between Romania and Yugoslavia. A picture of tranquility that's sadly misleading, as every night a human drama is played out along these waters. At stake, freedom from the totalitarian rule of Romania. Refugees plunge into the Danube, hoping to reach the Yugoslav patrol boats or swim to the far shore. Many don't make it. Their bodies are washed up against the dams where the Romanians collect them to bury them in mass graves.
My wife was 3 months pregnant when we crossed. She shouted, "Look out!" I threw myself on the ground. She didn't manage to get down in time and they shot her in the stomach, dead.
On the other side, the Yugoslavs are waiting for them, watching the 200-mile frontier day and night. Anyone picked up by patrols, like the one caught in the headlights, is labelled a criminal and jailed.
They continually tortured me. I was kept in isolation. Everyone who tries to cross the frontier is considered a traitor. They sentenced me to 7 years imprisonment for anti-political behaviour. They kicked my teeth out.
They didn't give me anything to eat, just water for 2 days. They wouldn't let me tell my family where I was. My head was shaved. They put chains on my ankles and wrists. I was in them for a year, slept, bathed and ate in them. They stamped on my hand. It's now useless. My ID card was marked, saying that I was not allowed within 40 kilometers of the border area for 10 years.
Some people had to escape 3 or 4 times before the authorities were persuaded to give them refugee status. They now live in the United Nations camp scattered across Yugoslavia. The Yugoslavs don't encourage publicity. They have enough economic and ethnic problems of their own without drawing attention to the crisis facing their neighbour. Everyone in the camp has left family behind and risked their life to be here. Elena left 3 of her children behind. The boat she escaped in was only big enough for 2 of them and her baby.
It was very dangerous. We came through the mountains, skirting around the army positions. When we got a boat out into the middle of the Danube, a barge came along, creating a big wave. All the children's things were swept overboard. It was very difficult with a 4-month-old baby. Terrible, frightening.
A country that was once the richest in Central Europe is now reduced to the level of the poorest developing nations. These pictures, taken by a hidden camera, show people queuing for hours for the most basic foods. Here, an armed guard stands by an empty meat counter to prevent a riot by angry shoppers. In rural areas, the horse and cart is again in wide use as President Nicolae Ceausescu uses his country's oil wealth to pay off his debts to the West and to pursue his campaign to destroy village life and rebuild Romania in concrete. Ceausescu now embarrasses even his Warsaw Pact allies with some of his Stalinist techniques. He and his family are firmly in control. And in a land governed by fear, there is no opposition.
It's very difficult to live any longer in Romania. There's no kind of human rights whatsoever. Nothing. No right to demonstrate or disagree with the regime in public. If Romanians say anything, they disappear. And there's no food. Everything is rationed. Bread, sugar, flour, everything. A kilo of meat per person a month.
In the countryside, malnutrition among pregnant women and children is common. Even though women are forced to produce a strict quota of babies, they're still expected to work during their childbearing years.
It is very hard for a woman. She must work and bring up children on tiny rations and no medicines. We have to have 6 children. There are no contraceptives. If you have an illegal abortion and it goes wrong, they leave you to die.
If they catch you trying to have an abortion, they put you in prison. We have to have regular gynecological examinations to make sure we all have 6 children. Women are treated like animals.
Throughout the centuries, Romania has been a country of diverse peoples. It has the largest Hungarian and German minorities in Central Europe, a hangover from the time the region formed part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Now Ceausescu has announced that he wants to get rid of that diversity, even if it means destroying symbols of individuality, such as national dress, ancient monuments, and traditional village life. The people of the village of Cristian have been told that they're on the list for demolition. Bulldozers are wreaking havoc across the countryside, and a few kilometers up the road, villagers have been warned that they'll only get a few days' notice to pack up and leave. Villages around Bucharest have already been destroyed as part of Ceausescu's scheme to eliminate rural identity. Now the area of Transylvania, considered the last remaining example of traditional Central European culture and architecture, is the next target. Some villagers, mainly Hungarians and Germans, have joined the flood of refugees who prefer to flee the country rather than watch their homes destroyed. Romania is now littered with the half-completed attempts to create 500 housing estates, which will be home for the majority of its population by the end of the century. It's a process which is exhausting the country's resources and leaving many people literally starving. But the process of systemization, as it's called, affects more than just living conditions. Ceausescu's critics say he wants to destroy everything that is individual about the people of Romania and produce the true land of the equal communist man. It's an experiment the Soviet Union attempted in the 1920s, but abandoned as hopeless and inhumane.
A distrus până și folclorul și obiceiul. În toată muzica e numai muzică patriotică, inclusiv.
Ceausescu is destroying folklore and customs. The only music allowed these days is patriotic songs. There's only 3 hours of television a night, 2 devoted to Ceausescu and 1 on patriotic poems and hymns.
Ceausescu și o oră cântece și poezii.
Those who've escaped the Ceausescu regime can spend up to 3 years in a refugee camp, waiting for a passage to the United States or Australia. However well prepared these people are for their new lives, they're likely to bear the mental and physical scars of Romania for the rest of their lives. But there are few regrets.
Aș fi întru totul de acord, știu eu, ca România să se poată elibera odată.
I hope one day Romania can be freed. I don't ever want to go back. There are too many sad things there. There was no future for my son there. That's why I left Romania, to offer my son freedom.
I hope I can see my 3 little girls again who I left behind, and that I can be reunited with them and my husband one day. But I'd rather hang myself than go back to Romania.
The people of Romania are powerless to protest against policies which have become an obsession with their country's ruler. On past evidence, about 30 of them will flee from Romania to Yugoslavia this evening. With luck, 15 may make it.